Force feedback controls have been out of reach for many flight simmers and are not priced for personal flight simming use. Controls that are out on the market for the moment are more suitable for home cockpit builders or commercial use. Today, we are going to check out a new manufacturer that plans to disrupt the flight sim force feedback market and cater for personal home use. And they are flightsim.com with their new cls-60. If you are like me, who've spent many hours and many dollars bringing more realism to your home desktop flight simming rig without a full home cockpit and wondered why no one is making an affordable force feedback control that doesn't cost an arm and a leg and require the wife's permission before you hit that purchase button, stick around for this video. This may be of some interest to you. Before we get into flightsim.com's new offering, they are not the first company to produce a force feedback yoke. There's a couple others on the market, such as the Brunner cls-e yoke, which is about $1,500 at USD, and the Simonix SHY-K01, which is about $1,100 at USD. Both of these are quality yokes and most of us would like to have one, but they are unaffordable and out of reach for most flight simmers. The cls-60 from flightsim.com, which is launching very soon, will run about $300 USD less than the other force feedback yokes on the market, and it will be going for about $799 USD. Yes, that's $800. An $800 purchase may be the second highest purchase you may ever take after purchasing your PC when it comes to flight simulation. But that being said, that is relatively inexpensive for a premium force feedback yoke system. Now that I've tweaked your attention just a little bit, let's take a closer look at flightsim.com, as this may be the first time you've heard about them. Flightsim.com is a Singapore-based tech company that is committed to transforming the flight sim industry. Fabian, who is one of the founders of flightsim.com, is a private pilot with instrument and multi-engine rating and a single pilot Eclipse jet rating, and also Pax Wong is a former financial controller with over 20 years of experience in that field. I thought it was worth mentioning about the founders of the company, as we've seen in recent times when it comes to other flight sim hardware companies. The company's aim is to offer a cost-effective solution and leverage advanced modular technology to make immersive aviation experience accessible to everyone. From the design phase, the team has incorporated and innovated modularity solutions, which enables them to use cost-effective measures in their component selection to bring competitive products to the market. The cls-60 is their first product and is planned to launch soon between May and June. It has been designed closely to replicate the ground flight force's experience when it comes to flying a real Cessna 172. It's constructed entirely from high-quality durable metals and offers a maximum pitch force of 60 newtons and a realistic travel pitch of 165 millimeters and a 90 plus roll either side with up to 4 newton meters of roll force. This is important as it mimics the range of the real-world aircraft Cessna 172. The yoke itself also offers a electric trim switch, 3 button switches, and also a 1/8 direction switch. The cls-60 weighs up to 9.2 kilograms and has a length of 134 millimeters with a width of 377 millimeters and a height of 164 millimeters. So you're going to need a desk on the larger side of things if you want to be able to use this with your flight sim desktop setup. I've placed the cls-60 against some of the other controls I already have in my collection, and some of them are on the larger side of things, but the cls-60 is definitely the biggest yoke that I've ever come across. The cls-60 comes with its own basic software feature tool, and it works with Windows 10 and Windows 11, which is easy to use, and there is a bunch of videos over on the flightsim.com's website. I recommend watching all the videos to get the maximum benefit out of the yoke software, as well as make all the tweaks and adjustments to suit your liking. Some of the simulation effects that are available on the software are yoke physics, engine vibrations, ground roll, turbulence, and also stall warning effects. effects. All these can be switched off or adjusted in different ways. Different profiles can be saved or imported. FlightSim.com will offer a place where simmers can upload and share different profiles for different aircraft once the yoke has released. The yoke itself can be easily mounted on a desk with some sort of C-clamps, or it can be screwed down using screws if you have a flight sim cockpit. There is no desk mount system currently available, which I've passed my feedback to the founders on this, and this would definitely be something that the flight sim community would like to see with this product in the future. But for the moment, the team's feedback is they are keeping the cost low as possible for the consumer, and they'll look at that in the future. That being said, I was able to mount the yoke on the desk very easy with some C-clamps that I purchased on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check those out. The CL60 is mostly assembled and it only takes one USB port on your PC and one power outlet, which only takes a few minutes to assemble and pop together. And using the software setup from taking it out of the box to the software to using it was around about 30 minutes. The CL60 Yoke is compatible with most flight simulators out on the market, including Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, X-Plane 12, and Prepared. All my flying with the CL60 has been done on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Using that sim, there is no profile that comes with the yoke that has been done by Microsoft Flight Simulator. You will need to create your own, but that only takes a few minutes to assign a couple of axes and use a blank profile, and you are ready to go. When it comes to purchasing the CL60, you get 1 year warranty given with your purchase, but you are able to purchase an additional 2-year warranty for an extra $159 USD, which I think is a great option when you're purchasing a premium yoke, as it gives you that peace of mind that it's going to last a few years and you've got a warranty on it. And also it does show from FlightSim.com's point of view that they've built their yoke to be good quality and last for a long time. A couple of shipping options are also available, either by express or by sea, which takes obviously longer to get to you, but it is at a cheaper price. Now I've bombarded you with all the information about the actual yoke and also FlightSim.com. I think it's time to go and check out the CL60 in action. We are in Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're sitting in the Just Flight Tomahawk that was recently released by them. I wanted to fly something different than a Cessna 172 to show off the cls-60, and we are at my local airport, which is Caloundra YCDR. I've done many circuits around this airport, and we're sitting on runway 12, and it's a little bit breezy today, so it'll be a good opportunity to be able to provide feedback to you guys watching the video of what this actual yoke feels like. So the first thing I did want to mention when it comes to this yoke is the actual sound of the yoke. It doesn't really make much sound at all. That was one thing I was really surprised about, is the sound of the actual yoke. Once you put your headset on, you can't hear it, and the microphone that I'm using is about that far away from the yoke. You should be able to hear it. The other thing is, being a yoke or being a force feedback option that actually uses a belt, in motor racing ones or racing to force feedback, sometimes you feel a little bit of a click of the belt. You actually don't feel that with the CL60. It's very smooth, or you may feel it a little bit there, but I was surprised of the smoothness of the yoke. So when we're sitting on the runway such as this one here, the first thing you're actually going to really feel is just feeling of the heaviness of the ailerons. We've got no wind or no surface wind actually over any of the flight controls at the moment, and that's what it is like in real life. You can, when you're actually checking your ailerons, if you're actually doing it, they'll have a little bit of weight to them when the engine's not running or there's no wind or breeze going over. So we are going to make sure everything's all cold and dark on this thing. I know what condition the aircraft is in, and we are going to start it up. Now the first thing is what I'm actually looking for with this particular aircraft. When we start it up, we'll get a bit of a shake, the yoke, and this is something you feel with real life aircraft, is that when the engine actually kicks over, it's sometimes probably the most amount of vibration you'll feel on the whole flight. So very interesting. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate to show you guys what it actually looks like. Is that we're going to turn the batteries on here, put a fuel pump in. But first I'm actually going to kick it over with no mixture in, so you can see the vibrations of the yoke. Look at my yoke at the same time. Pretty cool. You can see the shake of it as the prop's turning around, and then little vibrations now as the prop's spinning quicker, and as the prop slows down, you can see it vibrating. So that's really, really cool. And if I actually put my hand on it, hopefully I don't make the battery flat. If I actually put my hand on it, you'll be able to see how much my left hand is moving around. Like, it gets some force. There is some power to it. You can feel the difference there, which is pretty cool. All right, we are going to start this thing up properly now. So we're going to actually put some mixture in, and we're going to kick it over. And this time it actually should kick over. There we go. Put that there. The first thing that I'm actually feeling right now on the aircraft is a slight vibration. We're sitting about 1200 RPM. There's a slight vibration on the actual yoke itself as the engine is actually kicking over. If I increase the throttle on it while the brakes are on, the vibration changes. It actually gets a little bit smoother, but it's still there. And the pitch of the vibration actually changes. It's very, very, very subtle, but you can actually feel it. And as the engine goes quicker, that vibration changes and it gets a little bit more smoother. As we pop the revs down, or the RPM down to 1,000, and the propeller's not spinning around as much, the aircraft vibrates more. Now, one thing that is interesting is, let's see if we get some. Doesn't really change the airflow of the ailerons, but they are out further than what the propeller is. So once we get some wind actually over the control surfaces, it will make a difference. Now, the other thing that I'm expecting once I take the brake off is we'll start getting a vibration roll. So as we start going down the runway, I'm going to get engine vibrations, I'm going to get a vibration roll, and I'm going to start getting control surfaces feeling through the yoke all at once, which is a pretty cool feeling. One thing you'll notice here that I'll need to actually jump over to the outside view. When it comes to the control surfaces, you may see that the elevator is slumped over, and that's what it should do in real life. But once it actually gets some control surface winds over it, the actual surface control will go even. And probably, I think on this aircraft, it's setting the profile is about 40 knots. You'll start actually doing that, and that's something that is actually happening in real life aircraft as well. So pretty interesting to see when we're traveling down the runway. You'll see that the yoke actually change. Press the throttle. So at the moment, the pitch of the vibrations is changed from the idle and the engines. Now we've got 40 knots there. I'm getting some, now I'm actually getting control surface vibrations and vibrations off the runway. Now the vibrations of the runway's changed, and now I'm getting a lot of control surface vibrations, and the engine vibrations are still there in the actual aircraft. At this particular airport, once we get above 300 feet, we would put our flaps up. Nose wants to push up there, and I had to trim, and I could feel that being pushed back on the yoke, so it made me need to trim the aircraft. I could feel it in the yoke at the same time, which is really, really cool. You may notice that I'm going to be doing an extended upwind at this airport. That's because we have to do that in real life due to a neighborhood policy for sound, which makes us fly just over the edge of the water here. And circuit altitude here is 1,000 feet. So I'm going to pop the nose down and then the throttle. And we're still getting a slight breeze that we're going to push into as we're turning. And you can feel it. With the turbulence of the aircraft, you can actually feel it in the yoke. Left, center, right. We're going to make our turn here. And I can feel the wind is different. So there's more force on the aircraft when I'm making the turn than what it was when we were sitting on the runway with no wind going over the wing. And what I find that this yoke actually really makes you trim at the aircraft just as you do in real life to make it a lot easier to fly, because it behaves like a real aircraft. One thing that's quite interesting in this airport in real life, we get a lot of mechanical turbulence over the trees just towards touchdown there, so it can always be a little bit bumpy in the next 30 seconds or so. Be able to feel it, but I can feel the turbulence in the aircraft and the wind moving down and the push of the control surfaces, which is really, really cool. It provides that extra immersion. Nose down. There we go. I just had some mechanical turbulence there. Felt that. And we had a bunch of sink as well. Oh, she's bumpy down there. Wow. That was close to me even thinking about doing a go around. It's a bit scary. And I've got to do a go around. How bad was that? That was a bad, very, very bad approach. It's actually quite windy. If we have a look at the windsock as we're departing, she is a gusty. And the thing is, you can't really see it in the sim because the trees don't move around, but you can feel it in the yoke, which is super cool. So what we're going to do on this time around is I'm going to first notch flap's going to go up, put that nose down. We're going to go install the plane, and then I'll cut the shot in on the video for us to actually do a landing. Okay, here we are over the ocean, and we've got the airport just behind us here. This is typically where I would go and practice stalls in real life. So we're going to go up to about 3,000 feet, and we're going to conduct a little power on stall with one notch of flaps. And one thing, just to let you know, I've done this already with the yoke, but you'll be able to feel the buffering of the aircraft, which that's what the aircraft's telling you. It's about the stall. It will actually do its own buffering, so it will simulate that as well. So we're going to put a notch of flaps down. And one thing, I don't want to put this aircraft in the spin, because the Tomahawk is known for a spin. But we're going to pull back on the yoke, and we're going to leave a little bit of throttle in, about at 2,000 revs. And I can feel the controls getting sloppier. I can feel the engine vibration, and I'm starting to get some buffering. Buffer now that the plane's shaking. A lot of buffering. And I've held it all the way. We've got a bit of a wing drop, so I'm going to drop the aircraft down. There we go. That is super cool. There we go. We didn't lose much altitude. Alrighty, so we are now turning on to our final leg here. We've got 2 notches of flaps already dropped. And we're coming into about 12 knots of headwind here and a little bit of crosswind. The wind's actually picking up. Again, this will give us a bit of a workout. But I'm feeling vibrations of the engine, and I'm feeling vibrations of the wind and turbulence. So it's providing a little bit of a workout here. As we can see here, the aircraft is actually cocking into the wind a little bit. We're flying a little bit sideways. I have to rely on our rudder pedals. As you can see, it's moving around, and my hand is moving around with the yoke. As you can see, that the feedback is there. So I do this sometimes in real life. I'm actually going to fly over the trees a little bit higher than last time, because you get the sink. There's that sink. Happens in the same spot in real life. It's super cool. There we go. So instead of aiming for the numbers, we've just gone a little bit higher on this one. And we're going to land a little bit late. Oh, that's still... it's a bounce. It's still a bad landing from myself. But I could feel the actual movement of the wheels hitting the ground there. And now we've got roll. The control surfaces are disappearing as the yoke's going forward. There's less wing in there, and then we've got engine vibration is different. So hopefully that gives you a bit of idea of the feel of the aircraft. It is super cool. It does bring the immersion into the sim. Before I summarize my final thoughts with the CL60 Yoke from flightsim.com, they have more than just the CL60 on its roadmap. After the release of the CL60, the team plans to release a CL120 Yoke. This will have more of a powerful motor with up to 120 newtons of force. And if you pick up the CL60, you'll be able to upgrade to the CLS-120 by self-installing an upgraded motor. Remember, the FlightSim.com team have made this to be modular, so you can do the upgrades as a self-install sort of kit later down in the future. But that being said, in my opinion, the CL60 is more than powerful enough for some flight simming on your desktop. The CL60 is compatible with some of the other products that are soon to be released, such as the FC50 flight console. I'll leave that for another video or another news video at a later time, but I'll leave a link in the description below if you'd like to check that out for more information from the flight sim console from FlightSim.com. In that summary, I have really enjoyed the CL60 so much. I have pre-ordered one for myself once they release, and the CL60 will now be my primary flight yoke for all my desktop simming. It creates the next level of immersion at an affordable cost, and I don't think I can go back to any other yoke for the foreseeable future. I don't really have too many other comments for improvements, except I would like to see a reduction in size of the CL60, as it won't fit on all flight simming desk setups. This would be something to consider when purchasing the CL60. Will it fit and will it work with your current setup? And I would like to see some sort of custom mount option similar to other premium yokes that I've seen. That way I wouldn't need to purchase a C-clamp from a hardware store or from Amazon. Having its own mount would be an instant purchase from me. By the time you check out this video, FlightSim.com may have it released or about to release the Kickstarter for the CL60. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go and check out their page, and some other reviews from flight simmers about their opinions on their experiences with the CL60. If you have any questions about the yoke, please drop in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer all of them based off my experiences that I've had with it. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, subscribe to stay up to date with more flight sim hardware content that we have coming out in the near future, and stay up with the latest flight sim news, and we will see you on another video or another stream sometime soon.